Jan was contracted to appear in the elaborate variety show designed for the opening of Radio City Music Hall. He was heartbroken when his debut was canceled due to problems in the show. As a concession, Jan was allowed to sing at intermissions, but only from behind the curtain. He became known as the Phantom Voice. But his notoriety grew until, finally, the music hall audience got to see the chubby, bespectacled man who belonged to that beautiful voice. Jan remained at the music hall for 8 years, singing everything from opera arias to the popular tunes of the day. From the vaudeville stage to the nightclub circuit to the movie set, Jan Peerce became a star. He was billed with the top acts of the 1930s. A popular vaudeville movie of the day featured the Three DeLovellys, the Cotton Club Tramp Band, and Jan Peerce.
I used to be an opera star, as you can plainly tell. I sang O Paradiso, and I did it very well. I used to sing in Frankfurt, now it's Frankfurters I sell. Ah, me, I must be going to the door. When I sang they used to stand and cheer for hours. The stage was always filled with flowers. Ma Paris, oh amor, il mio sguardo l'incontrò.
When I started to study, and I went from one teacher to another, you know, I think it's same is true in the violin. If you don't learn with the teacher, go to somebody else. If you don't improve, go. And I, luckily by instinct, and my wife, Alice, who was always close to me to this day, she also said, look, you're not learning. Try somebody else. So when I had to study some German lieder, I went to a man by the name of Leo Braun. Oh. Remember Leo Braun?
Remember the name.
But you know what, at first I thought he was crazy. He had his studio in the old Metropolitan building, Opera building. He would make you study the song as a poem. Leave me alone, I don't want to. No, you come and do the way I ask you, otherwise I don't need you, your money. And I would get up there and he'd put me in a corner of the room and he'd make you recite with gestures. And he would stop you and your umlaut is no good, your pronunciation is good, you're not phrasing correctly, what is it with you? And he'd yell and scream. But he was right.
Absolutely.
And whatever I studied with him, whatever I learned with him, to this day, I remember. There was
in a master class at the Jerusalem Music Center,
between both of you,
Jan is passing on to a new generation of singers
not terribly,
that knowledge he has gained from his teachers.
Vein. You know what I'm talking about? Also, please, you're a beautiful lady, you're a beautiful girl. Your expression must change. When you say something about love, you must look as if you love. And if you say something which is not love, you must, in other words, you can't have the same expression all the time, you know? And say something.
His advice to young singers: remember that a career in music is one of work and, to a large extent, self-forgetfulness. It is the music which is important, not the person. If anyone is thinking of entering the music field because he wants fame and glory, he'd better try another profession. There is no shortcut to musical success.
Bravo. That's very good, very beautiful. Let me tell you something. To sing lyrically is beautiful, but you must have a more effort to sing lyrically and softly than the high notes. If you have high notes, they come. You open your mouth and boom, they're there.
Speaking of singing, what is it that is basically necessary to keep a voice focused, clear, under control, with no breaks in the register as it goes up or down, over a long period of time?
It's very simple. There are no tricks involved. You know, taking care of a voice is like bringing you back to normal. Going to a teacher to study voice, there are no tricks involved. The teacher must know that you're cognizant of the fact that you have a diaphragm and that there's a purpose, that God put a diaphragm in a human body to serve a purpose. Also, if you let your diaphragm and your resonance chambers do the work that they're supposed to do, all you're doing is burning energy. You're not getting tired like playing the fiddle. When you play, and you play for hours, and we've known each other for years, and you play so gorgeously always, you know that you don't get tired when you play. You use your wrist and your hand and the flexibility of your fingers, and you're burning energy all the time. And the same is true with me.
One of the most beautiful popular melodies of the day, sung by one of radio's finest voices, Mr. Jan Peerce singing Love Came Out of the Night.
Radio City might seem an unlikely route to the world of classical music, but it was through the music hall radio broadcasts that Jan came to the attention of Maestro Arturo Toscanini, who, upon hearing the tenor, was impressed enough to give him an audition.
Toscanini heard me on one of those Sunday broadcasts, and he arranged the audition at the Astor Hotel. So he says, "What do you know?" So the first hour, no. First hour that came to my mind was Una Furtiva Lagrima. You sing that? He sat down at the piano, and he wasn't a great pianist. And he began to play, and he made a mistake. But I kept going. I didn't stop. And I'll never forget, it began to snow, and all I could do was concentrate on the flakes of snow. And I said, we'll catch up with each other. Sure enough, when we came to the interlude for the second part, we finished. That's when he booked me immediately. And from that time on, started a wonderful friendship, musical friendship besides personal. And I was with him for 15 years.
Toscanini realized that he had found his tenor. On 14 occasions, Toscanini chose Jan Peerce as his tenor soloist in La Bohème, La Traviata, Fidelio, and Ballo and Mascara, and Rigoletto, among others. Many of these historic performances were recorded and serve as a legacy of this close relationship between singer and conductor.
You know, he'd come to our home for dinner, and Alice is a wonderful cook, and one day she prepared little knishes, liver knishes, and although he wasn't allowed to eat, he was always on a sort of a light diet, he began to eat with both hands, and he said, "Oh, what a great Italian dish this is." And I corrected him. I said, "Maestro, this is not an Italian dish." "Oh, no," he says, "it is Italian." I said, "No, it's not. It's a Jewish-Russian dish." He said, "It must be Italian." I said, "Why do you say it must be Italian?" He said, "It is so good that it must be Italian."